Well, hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unlocked Show. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson, and it's my pleasure to be here with you guys today on this very beautiful Friday morning here on the Gold Coast of Australia. Now, today I want to talk to you guys about, I suppose, how to get success in your life. So, one of the things that I find, or actually this whole episode today was actually inspired by a conversation that took place in a mastermind that we were doing this morning with some of our private students. So you may or may not know, based on the fact that you've been listening to the Unlock Show for some time, that myself and also my business partner, Vicky Helm, run a program called the Freedom Seekers Way. And we help people to come up with their concept and their idea to be able to bring their online business to life. We also help them with that. There's kind of three components to it, where we help them build their influence and authority through a program we've put together called Influence and Authority Method, teach them how to create their own live show and their own podcast. Then we teach them how to create their own online program, taking their skills, their knowledge, their expertise, and putting it into a program. And then to wrap all of that up, we teach them how to create their own book. That really does help them to spread their message and their word. Anyhow, whilst I was tuning in to the mastermind that we were doing this morning, one of the students inside of the program asked a question, and she asked, what are the steps that I need to take to launch my book, was the answer, or was the actual question. And of course, that sort of made me think about, well, what are the steps? What do I do? What are the things that we need to do to ensure that we get success in our life? And I thought about, well, how the heck do I do that? And every single thing that I do this process of reverse engineering. And I wanted to share with you guys today how I actually go about doing that. And a lot of people use this particular method, right? A lot of people go down the path of, all right, well, when I want to create something, I just have to reverse engineer what it is that I'm doing. But in my experience, I'm going to give you guys 10 steps to this process. But in the steps, there might be a couple of things that may be a little new to you. Maybe they're actually things that you don't really pay a lot of attention to. And in my opinion, they're actually the most important things that, if you are wanting to have success in your life, so I'm not just talking about business, I'm talking about success across, any facet of your life, whether it be your business, your family, or your life in general. What are the things that you need to do? And like I said, there's generally two major things that I'm going to talk to you about that are in my step-by-step process of 10 things that you should do that I think most people pay the least amount of attention to, and they are focused on the wrong things. So I'm also going to share with you this. I have in my hot little hand here this old Edmonds cookbook. Right? It's falling to bits. It's got pages being, the cover's missing. The pages are falling out. It's got, probably chocolate cake and muffins and all sorts, banana cake all over it from many, many, many years of use. And this particular recipe book is about, I reckon it's probably at least 50 years, if not older than that, because it was given to me by my grandmother, who was a very good baker, and she gave this book to me, and I've had it, she's been gone now for over 20 odd years, and I've had it all of this time. So you might be wondering, Trace, why the heck are you sharing with us right now a recipe book? You're wondering, what the heck has that got to do with success and success in, life or across the board? Well, you are going to find out in today's episode, because I believe that everything you see in a recipe book actually has the recipe for you for success across whatever area of your life you want success in. And if you think about a recipe book, right, what does that recipe book have in it? Well, it has three fundamental things. This recipe book has the method of how I might go about creating or baking something. It has the tools that I need, and it also has the ingredients. But it has a couple of things that are kind of missing in this recipe book, because I would go as far as saying, just because you have the recipe doesn't always mean that you are going to have, bake a successful cake or make something successfully that's really, really tasty. Sometimes even following a recipe goes astray. So keep that in mind as I continue to talk through today's conversation with you, and as I continue to share sort of these recipes for success or the steps for success. And you might also find that as you've been listening to, a lot of the Unlock Show episodes, I tend to be the sort of person who gives you guys steps. I usually might have 5 steps, 10 steps, 20 steps sometimes, but I give you step-by-step instructions. And if you look at that, you'll understand that's kind of my way of reverse engineering a process or a recipe for success so that I'm able to actually share that with you guys. And that's just how my brain works. And that's actually how, in whatever area of my life or when I'm teaching my students, I break everything down into steps, and I actually reverse engineer things from a point of view of already having or already have created the thing that I want. So let me talk you through these steps. And like I said, some of these might sound a little unfamiliar to you. Now, before I get into all of the steps, I want to welcome you guys today because I've got a bunch of people that are watching right now through Facebook, and also on YouTube. And if you are watching or listening in, you will know and understand that today's show is live. So I can actually communicate with you guys. So as I'm going through today's conversation with you, I want it to be a conversation. A conversation is a two-way thing. So as I continue with today's, information that I share with you, and hopefully you guys get a lot of value out of today because it truly is the recipe for success, I want you to comment to me. And the only way that I can see your comments is by you allowing the system that I use, which is StreamYard, to actually see your comments. Otherwise, I won't get them back here in the studio and I won't be able to answer your questions for you. And if you are listening to this via a podcast or you're listening to it as a replay, hashtag replay for me so I know that you're here, and or subscribe, hit the bell button, the notifications, to make sure that any episode that I continue to do with the Unlock Show, you make sure that you get access to that, or you get notified so that you don't miss out on any of them. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification button so that you don't miss out on a thing, because in the Unlock Show, I share all sorts of stuff to help you unlock your genius within so that you can have an amazing business, family, and life. Because it all goes together, right? If you're not successful in one of those areas, it's most likely going to flow over into another area of your life and success. Okay, so let's get kicked into this. So don't forget my little recipe book here, and even though it is very, very old, it is still extremely useful, and certainly does allow me to make some amazing stuff for my family. Anyhow, that aside, whenever you're creating success in your life, you want to think about it like you are creating a recipe. And what you want to think about is, when I look at this recipe book, right? Success in life doesn't have one set recipe, because it doesn't matter what it is that you are trying to do. If you're wanting to do something we want to achieve success in a certain area, then you have to have one type of recipe. For example, if I was wanting to create, no one here, it says caramel meringue, I would need the recipe for caramel meringue. I don't go and get the recipe for a banana cake. Why? Because I'm going to bake a banana cake. Even if I'm really, really, really good at baking banana cakes and I make amazing banana cakes, if I continue with that recipe over and over and over again, I'm going to continue to get a banana cake, right? If I want something different, I have to create myself a different recipe. Now, what does that actually start with? Well, that all starts with a goal and a plan. So the very first thing we want to think about is, what the heck do I want to achieve? What is it that I'm actually trying to achieve in my life? What is the goal and then I'm going to create a plan around that, right? So what is the goal that I want? What am I trying to achieve in my life? So let's say, for example, I'm going to give you some examples here. So let's say, for example, I'm wanting to create a brand new business, and that brand new business might be that I want to create, an online business. So I get the goal and I get the plan out there, and it's got a whole lot of different things within that plan, and I'm going to break some of those down. The next thing that I want to do is I want to think about, when do I actually want that? Now, this is really, really important. And again, I'm going to give you two things that I think are the most important. I'm going to highlight what those are, but this is all 10 of these are important. It goes without saying. But when do I actually want it? And what I find that a lot of people do is they put the goal out there. They say, all right, this is what I want to achieve, but they don't actually set any real firm timeline around it. They don't set a date. So what ends up happening is they just kind of start working on their goal on the never, never. It's never going to really come to fruition. And that what that does is that allows them the opportunity to go, it's okay, I don't really need to focus on this right now. I can bring something else in, and it moves. You'll find yourself continuously moving the goalposts. So make sure that you always have in your, you're setting your goal, when do I actually want it? And I would also say to you, be a little bit ruthless with yourself here. Like, make it quite a tight timeline. Make it quite a ambitious timeline to achieve that goal. Because again, what a lot of people will do is they'll put a goal of, I'm going to be able to do this in a year. And what they find is that they don't do anything with it. And then they find that they've only got 3 months left to do it. Funnily enough, a lot of people have the skill of being able to do whatever they need to do in a really tight time frame. So if that's you, make that timeline tight. Put yourself under a bit of pressure. I'm the sort of person that works really well under pressure. Give me a really long timeline. I'm most likely going to leave it till I've created a bit of pressure, and then I'm able to do, brain kicks in, activities kick in, and off you go. So the next thing you want to think about is, why the heck do you want it? Why do you want that goal? If it's something that you don't really want, you would like it, but you don't really want it, the likelihood of you putting in the effort each and every day to achieve the thing that you want is fairly unlikely. Again, you're giving yourself a bit of an opportunity to take to take the slow route to where you want to go. So you want to make sure that you understand that you have your why is big enough. Why do you want to do it? Like, for example, if I was going to use, going back to my recipe book and baking a cake, why would I want to bake a cake? Well, it might be that I've got some people coming around that day, and I give myself a tight time frame. When you're baking a cake, you need to do that, because you don't want to bake it too early and it's stale by the time the person gets there. So timing is everything, making sure that you do it at the right time. And, and I want that cake because I want to be able to feed the people something really yummy when they get to my house. Likewise, if you were creating some sort of, online business, why do you want to create that? Because you might have a burning desire to do so. You've been sitting on it for quite a long time, and you just can't do it anymore. You feel like now is the right time to do it. Maybe people have been asking you about it. Maybe you see that there's an opportunity in the market that exists right now. Whatever it is, find the why and use that why to help motivate you to get the job done. Okay, point number 4 that I want to talk about here. This is one of those, and I've got this highlighted in my little notes here. This is one of the things that I think is one of the most important, but is one of those least focused on things that people forget to do or don't pay enough attention to when they are trying to achieve a goal. And it's this concept of, who do you need to become in order to have what it is that you want? Who do you actually need to be right now? So I often talk about this, and you may have heard me refer to this concept in previous episodes, but the concept of future pacing. So you're thinking about, what is the goal that you have already achieved? See, there's a bit of a shift here. So instead of me planning and setting my goal being something that I am attaining in the future, what I'm doing here is I'm future pacing by bringing forward that goal, and I'm imagining that I've actually already achieved that goal. And who is the person that I became in order to have the thing that I want, right? So it's this concept of, be that, do the things that I need to do, and then I will have. And when I become that person, and when I bring that forward and I start thinking about who do I need to become. So for example, I'm just going to use this very simple analogy going back to my recipe book. You know, who do I need to become when I'm tackling the task of I'm going to bake a cake? And some people would say, I'm just not good at baking. I'm not a good cook. When you're going into the space of I'm now going to bake a cake, there's something that you need to do, which is to transform whom you are. In that moment, you are a baker. In that moment, you are a cook, right? And so if you don't take yourself there and you don't future pace and you don't start to see yourself and become that person, become the thing, the person, the persona, so to speak, of what it is that you need to be able to have that level of success, then it's pretty unlikely that you will get it. And why is that? Because you will continue to do the things that the person of now, the person that you are being right now, does. Right? So I'm hoping this is making sense to you guys. And if it is, just type a yes to me. You're with me in the comment section. So I know you're getting this concept, because this is super, super important. And I want you to allow you to sink this in, to really get this concept of being, then doing, then you will have. Okay, because it's a vital component to your engineering your success. And what I want you to think about in this is, like, do you have some self-limiting beliefs that actually prevent you from having the success that you really want and deserve in your life? Do you sabotage? Have you got some self-sabotaging behaviors? And you may have. Now, I want to share with you a tool that I have used. In fact, I helped create this particular tool, doing the same sort of thing, like reverse engineering. How do we get success in life? And realizing, understanding that this whole concept of being, doing, and having is so important, and that there are elements within that actually roadblocks that come up that actually can prevent or sabotage your success. And it's this. It's called the Freedom Seekers Journal. I'm going to pop up onto the screen right now where you guys can go and get this. Now, what this journal enables you to do is do the stuff that I'm talking about. It enables you to set a goal. It enables you to break that goal down. It enables you to think through, why the heck do I want it? And it enables you to think through, who do I need to be? Who do I need to become and be right now in this moment to enable the success that I want to happen with ease? It also enables you to get rid of or start eliminating some of your self-sabotaging habits and some of your self-limiting beliefs. Now, this journal that we've created, or I was instrumental in creating, actually has QR codes in it, right? So they are, this journal is one of the first journals of its kind in the world that actually is interactive. And so what we do with this is what I do, this is part of the reverse engineering process, is each day we reflect on, where did I have resistance? Where did I have resistance in my life or during my day that actually derailed me, took me on a different path, made me unfocused? Maybe it brought in a self-limiting belief. Maybe it was some self-sabotaging behavior that I did that I need to eliminate. So it gives me some opportunity to reflect, and it also gives you some exercises by using those QR codes that will take you through the exercise, which we call the BE method, utilizing a tool called EFT tapping to remove those self-sabotaging behaviors and to help you eliminate some of your self-limiting beliefs and reprogram yourself to be the person that you need to be, and that to enable you to have that level of success or achieve the goal that you are looking for. So like I said, I'm just going to quickly pop up onto the screen right now where you need to go to get yourself a copy of the Freedom Seekers Journal. Really, really simple. Go to freedomseekersjournal.com, and you'll be able to purchase yourself a copy of the journal, which has an interactive BE program with it, which is utilized through the use of your mobile phone and QR codes. And what you'll do with this is, like, and I said right at the beginning, we're working through what is the goal that I want. And most likely the goal is either going to be around health, wealth, or relationships, right? So in those three things, when you decide where does the goal fit, with your Freedom Seekers journal, you'll actually program that journal to give you the tools that you need through EFT tapping that is based on either health, wealth, or relationships. But I'm not going to talk a whole lot more about that, because I want you guys to encourage you to head on over to Freedom Seekers Journal. So thefreedomseekersjournal.com, and go and get yourself, or just check it out and see what you think of this. But I can tell you that, I put that together with a team of people, and it was based on this concept of reverse engineering our success, the being, doing, and having, and how do you transform your life so that you are able to get success in any area, and you can create your own recipes over and over and over again. Because once you know the process of creating a recipe and reverse engineering success, you can do that in any area of your life. Okay, the next thing on my list, which is also important, is creating an environment. All right, again, lots of people don't do this. They don't think about what is the environment that I actually need to create for myself to enable that level of success to occur. And I'm talking about to occur with ease, right? So I'm not talking about, oh, it's going to be really hard. For example, if I was wanting to create a live show and I didn't create an environment that enabled me to do that easily, then it would become hard. If I didn't have my camera set up, my microphone set up, didn't have a dedicated space within my home to be able to do these shows twice a week, then it's pretty unlikely that they would happen on the regular, right? I won't have created the right type of environment to allow the success to take place easily. But because I've done that, I've thought about the goal and the plan that I have. I've thought about when I want it. I've thought about who do I need to become. So I needed to become somebody who was confident. I needed to become somebody who would show up. I needed to be resilient. I needed to, be dedicated. All of these things. I thought about that before I got started with actually putting the plan and the goal into action, right? And I created an environment around me. Now, that environment might be the tool, might be the things that you need. It might be the place that you do it in. It might actually even be the people that you have to have around you to create that supportive environment that enables you to achieve the goal. So that's a really, really important component of reverse engineering your success. Okay, the next is the tools. And I've spoken a little bit about this, right? What tools and resources do I need? Now, often people will think, I don't have enough money. Might be actually it might be a sabotaging, thought pattern. I can't do that because I don't have the money right now. I can't do that because I don't have a microphone. I can't do that because I don't have a camera. I can't bake a cake because I don't have a recipe. So whatever that is, you want to think about what are the tools and the resources that you need to enable you to achieve that goal. And then once you've identified what those tools and resources are, then it's a matter of asking the right questions to obtain those tools, resources, knowledge, experience, whatever it is that you need. And again, that is an important component. Again, often people forget to ask, or the problem we have is that we actually don't ask the right questions to be able to see the thing that we want. I'm going to give you an example of this, and it's something that actually happened very very recently. And often the answers are right in front of our face, but we don't see it. So I've had some, I've had a business for nearly a decade now. And there was a time in the early days where I was like, God, all I need is a graphic designer. I just need someone to help me with my graphics because I didn't have that skill set. I wasn't familiar with how to use all of the tools that were available at the time. So I went on this path of trying to find me a graphic designer. And often I found that just actually putting it out there or asking the right question and asking the right question to the right, I'm going to say people, or I'm going to say place, is also extremely important. Now, when I say place, I'm meaning putting it out there to the universe. Again, it might sound a little far-fetched, a little bit crazy, but I don't know how many times in my life I have asked the question of, or had the thought of, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get that. I don't know how I'm going to make that happen. So I asked the question of, where can I find blah, blah, blah? What do I need to do to have blah, blah, blah? And I actually just put that out there to the universe. And within days, the answer to my question has shown up at my door. And the number of times that my team would have said to me, oh my God, there she goes again. That you'd only asked for that like yesterday, and there it is. The person is knocking on the door. I've got an example of that from a life perspective for something that actually happened yesterday. So yesterday morning, my husband and I were in my mum's room. So she's recently passed away, and I'm going through the process of actually cleaning her possessions and cleaning up her room because she lives with us. And I had a whole lot of blankets on the bed, and my husband was standing on the other side of the bed, and he said, oh, what are we going to do with all of these blankets? Anyhow, seems like a very, a kind of almost irrelevant kind of question because, you give them away, you'll do something with them, right? Or you put them in the cupboard and you'll use them for later. But that exact same day, about 2 hours later, we're sitting in our local shopping centre having some lunch. And we go to this shopping centre on the regular and sit in the same place because we go and get Vietnamese rolls, and we absolutely love them. It's our favourite place to go. So we go and grab one of those. And as we're sitting there, I see this young fella come in, and he stops at the table behind us, and he says to the man sitting at the table, excuse me, sir, do you have any spare change? Because I'm homeless at the moment and I need to buy me a blanket. And my hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I was like, oh, wow. Next thing, the man said to him, no, I'm sorry, I don't. He then comes to our table and he says, excuse me, sorry for interrupting, but do you have any spare change? I'm homeless at the moment and I would like to be able to buy me some blankets. And of course, I thought to the conversation that John and I had had only maybe 2 hours earlier, where he asked the question, what are we going to do with all these blankets? And all of a sudden, that answer was standing right in front of us. Now, I know that's not a business related thing, but if you do this, the answer will show up over and over and over again. So what you need to do with this is ask the question to begin with, be open to receiving the answer, and be very, very aware and pay attention to when you see the answer, because it will always be presented to you. So needless to say, of course, I said to this young fella, look, I've got some blankets if you would like them. How many people are you with at the moment? He said 3. I said, no problem. We'll get you some blankets together and we'll meet you at such and such a place and we'll give you the blankets. And that's what we're doing. So in this case, the thing that you need to do is learn to ask the right questions. And sometimes you don't even need to know who you're going to ask that question to. You are just going to voice it. You are going to ask the question, and you are going to allow the answer to present itself. And it will be there, It will show up. You just have to be attentive, and you just have to be observant, open, and you need to listen for when that answer comes up. Okay, so the next thing I want to share is number 7 in this reverse engineering process. It is, who else do I need? So we've talked about, who do I need to become? Who do I need to be to have the success that I want? But then you want to think about, if I don't have all the tools, I don't have all the resources, and I don't have all the skills that I need, can I still be successful? The answer is heck yes. You just might need some other people to help you on the journey. So you want to start exploring, who else do I need to help me on this journey? Right? Who else do you need? And then you want to start to reach out to them. And sometimes you need to expand your networks. Now, often this is why I absolutely love, and I'm so passionate about doing shows. Why? Because it enables me to expand my networks. What does that then enable me to do? When I expand my networks, I now have a lot more people that I can draw on, that I can build relationships with, that I can seek out if I need help. And again, this happens in your business. It also happens in your family and in your life. So if you want to have a close-knit family, what do you need to do? You need to reach out to people. You need to build relationships with them. So that's a really important component. The next is, what actions do I need to take? All right. So once you've established, what is it that I want? Who do I need to become? When am I going to, achieve that? I've created my environment, all of the things that I've previously spoken about. You now want to think about, what actions do I need to take? And that formulates part of your action plan, right? So that plan that I created or spoke about right at the beginning, you're creating your action plan. What are the things that you need to do, the milestones, the steps that you need to take to achieve that said goal? And then you're going to break that down to, what actions do I actually need to take today to make that happen? Right now, you'll probably realize that I've given you 9 steps, right? There's a 10th. And again, this highlighted on my plan here in my notes, show notes. This is, in my opinion, the most important. And it comes down to communication. How will you communicate what it is? What is the goal that you have? And I don't care whether it's a goal that you have as a partnership in marriage, whether it's a goal that you have in partnership in business, whether it's just a goal that you have to communicate it in some way, shape, or form. Now, how do we do that? Generally speaking, there are 3 ways that we would communicate it, right? So we're either going to communicate it through the written form, we're going to communicate it through audio, or we're going to communicate it through video. So if I give you an example in the business context, right? So again, I'm coming back to creating my online program. Well, of course, when I'm creating an online program, I'm going to eventually need some customers that are going to want to join me and pay to be part of my program. So I'm going to have to communicate that in some way. If I don't, I'm going to be the best kept secret, right? I'm going to continue to sit, my amazing program I've created is going to continue to sit on a shelf. That's no good. I need to communicate it. How am I going to do that? Well, I can either do it in the written format, right, which might be through a blog, it might be through long form posts on social media, it might be through writing a book or creating a journal or something that you are going to do in the written form that is going to help you to get your message out there. Right. And if you think about it in relationships, if I think way back when my husband and I, we were young teenagers, started going out, we didn't have mobile phones and he was away at boarding school. I couldn't just pick up the phone and talk to him. So what did we used to do to continue to build our relationship? We used to write letters to one another, so written format is still very relevant today. Right, written, getting a letter in the post is still extremely valuable. People would open the mail and be like, oh, wow, I got a letter from somebody. And it's not that common to do that in today's day and age, but don't underestimate how important it is. And the written format, in terms of reverse engineering what it is that you want to do, that written would be writing down your goals, writing down a plan, get pen to paper, and start doing that. It is proven that those people that do that have a much higher success rate. So take pen and paper out, use your Freedom Seekers Journal to write your goals and start planning your success through the reverse engineering process. The next is audio, right? So you know that if you're doing anything online, you want to be able to get your message out. We want to do that. It might be through a podcast. It might be through audio, like doing a show like this. It's talking to other people. So whether it's even, in family, you want to make sure that you're actually communicating on the regular what it is that you want. I don't know how many times I have seen people get upset about things because they had an expectation of somebody else that wasn't fulfilled, that they never, ever communicated. So if you think about that, if you do not share what you want, how are you going to get it? And in fact, how is the other person or the thing, even if you just voice out loud what it is that you want, how is the universe even going to conspire to help you get what it is that you want with ease, without there being friction, without there being problems? So you want to make sure that you voice it and that you communicate regularly about how to get it. And then the third, of course, is video. And nowadays we can do that for business, family, and life. We've got such a thing as Facebook Messenger, video calls, or even live shows like I'm doing today. The other components of this, again, that I think a lot of people don't always think about in the realm of communication, and that is actually the energy, the tone, and again, the environment in which we create. So sometimes we might be going about doing something or communicating something, and the words in which we speak are right on point, right? The words that we speak are right on point. However, we didn't get the outcome that we wanted. We didn't get the success that we wanted because we actually didn't pay any attention to the energy that we bring when we're communicating that. We didn't think about our tone or our use of tone when we were communicating the message. And maybe we didn't even think about the environment, or timing. So all of these things are all extremely important in setting up your ecosystem environment to ensure that you're able to be successful no matter what it is no matter what it is that you are trying to achieve in your life. And the last thing I'm going to say today is that you want to claim the outcome. And again, this kind of fits right at the beginning. So in this entire process, you want to claim and stake your claim to what it is that you want to achieve. I've got it. It's mine. I've already achieved it. You're already future pacing and you're seeing that you've got that in your mind. And you might remember, I think it was Napoleon Hill said this, those that can see it in their mind, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. It was Brian Tracy or Napoleon Hill that said that phrase, see it in your mind, future pace that you already have it. The piece between seeing it in your mind and having it in your hands is the reverse engineering piece, is the action in which we take, is the person that we become, because we've already become that in our mind. We've already got it in our mind. We already are experiencing it in our mind. And when we do that, your subconscious mind will make it easy for you to bring what it is that you want in your life to fruition. Clearly, there are some things often that sit between our mind and actually having it in our hands, those self-sabotaging, behaviors that we have. Maybe it's the self-limiting beliefs. And so we have to work on those. We have to also set within our plan and within our goal setting and our action planning, what am I going to do to help me eliminate those from my life? And I've given you guys a tool today that you can use, which is the Freedom Seekers Journal. Get yourself a copy of that. Start working your way through it. And often we also need accountability, and that's what the journal is going to do. It's like having your own coach in your hand, in your iPhone or on your computer, that's going to actually help you eliminate those self-limiting beliefs, eliminate any challenges that you might have had during during your process of trying to achieve the success that you want in your life, so that you can tap into it at any time. So I'm going to pop back up onto the screen right now that link, and just go grab it. You go here. So if you want to check out the Freedom Seekers Journal, head on over to Freedom, FreedomSeekersJournal.com. You see, even the communication there, spelling it out, because I know that there's going to be people that are actually listening to this show on the replay through the podcast. So head on over to freedomseekersjournal.com, get yourself a copy of that. It will give you some guidance on how to achieve anything in your life, the things that you need to do to reprogram your self-conscious mind, and it will help you to have the skills to be able to create recipes by creating like your own recipe book over and over and over again, so that you have the recipe for success in your business, your family, and life. You're going to unlock all of that. So that being said, guys, there's my 10 tips for today, my 10 steps of how you go about reverse engineering what it is that you want in your life, so that you can be successful no matter the goal, no matter how big it is, no matter what it is that you want to achieve. So I want to say thank you very much for joining me today. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's session. Follow the steps that I've given you, because they will truly help you have success in any area of your life. All right, guys, thanks very much for joining me. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I've got some cool stuff planned. You guys might know that a little while ago, or just after Christmas, we purchased another caravan. So I am in DIY mode of refitting out a caravan. And sometimes, when you start out on a journey, you think, oh, it's not going to take very much to achieve that goal, so to speak. And as you start peeling back layers, you realize that, maybe I have to do a few more things. Maybe I need to acquire a few more skills and adopt some of the things that I've been talking about today, which I've been doing to help us I'm going to say pretty novices at building things, but we're able to do it, and it's coming out pretty smick. I'll show you guys some photos about it and share that journey with you guys a little bit further down the track. All right, guys, have a fantastic weekend. As I said, thanks for joining me. I'm Tracy Wilson. This is the Unlock Show, and I'll see you guys again for another episode next Wednesday, 10 a.m. Brisbane time. As I always say, as we round out the show, go live your life unlocked, because there is just no other way. All right, guys, bye for now.